ముఖ్యంగా నీ డ్రెస్ సెన్స్ చాలా బాగుంది, దయచేసి. ఇంకో విషయం చెబుతున్నా, అమ్మాయిలు హీరోయిన్లు ఈ బట్టలు పెడితే వేసుకొని పోతే మనమే దరిద్రం అనిపించాల్సి వస్తమ్మా. ఏమనుకోవద్దు, హీరోయిన్లు అందరూ మీరు అనుకున్నా నాకు పోయేది లేదు, లాగి పీకుతాం మనం, అది వేరే విషయం. కానీ మీ అందం చీరలోనూ, మీ అందం నిండుగా కప్పుకునే బట్టల్లోనే ఉంటుంది తప్పితే సామాను కనపడే దాంట్లో ఏముండదమ్మా. అవి వేసుకున్నంత మాత్రాన చాలా మంది చూసినప్పుడు నవ్వుతూ అంటారు కానీ దేత్రముండ ఎలాంటి బట్టలు ఎందుకు వేసుకుని కాస్త మంచి వేసుకోవచ్చుగా.
Let's start with the obvious truth that nobody wants to say out loud. What SIVAJI said was crude, poorly worded, and unnecessary. He admitted that himself. He apologized. That should have been the starting point of the conversation, not the end of it. There's a massive difference between policing women's bodies and clumsily expressing frustration about how society reacts to public imagery. SIVAJI's mistake was not thinking something controversial. It was articulating it in the worst possible way, using language that was never acceptable in the public forum. But here's the key point. He did not call for harm, he did not justify violence, he did not incite mobs. Conflating offensive speech with criminal intent is a dangerous precedent. If the industry truly cared about women's dignity, the loudest outrage would be reserved for actresses being groped in public, women being mobbed at events, celebrities facing stalking and harassment. Instead, what we often see is silence when women are harmed, noise when someone says something uncomfortable. That's not justice, that's image management. Now SIVAJI issued a public apology, he admitted fault, he acknowledged inappropriate language. At that point, demanding unconditional apology, legal action, career punishment stops being about accountability and starts being about public humiliation. A culture that never allows redemption is not progressive, it's authoritarian. Now let's confront the uncomfortable part. This is not misogyny, this is not slut shaming. This is about consistency. ANASUYA has built a public persona that intentionally courts attention. She benefited professionally from glamour-centric media. She participated in an industry that commodifies appearance daily. That doesn't invalidate her as a woman, but it does mean she cannot suddenly position herself as a moral authority without addressing the ecosystem she profits from. You don't get to say, don't comment on women's presentation, while simultaneously thriving in an industry that markets women primarily through presentation. Calling out someone's speech as wrong is valid, but framing verbal offense as equivalent to physical danger, criminal intimidation, legal threats is irresponsible. Words can be offensive, words can be wrong, words can hurt, but not every wrong statement is a legal or moral emergency. If we treat all speech as violence, we trivialize actual violence. Here's the question nobody answers honestly. Why is there loud condemnation for moral commentary? Muted response when actresses are actually attacked. If ANASUYA and others want moral credibility, the outrage must be consistent. Otherwise, it looks like policing speech is easier than confronting power. Calling out one man is safer than challenging systematic failure. The core problem is not SIVAJI, it's a broken discourse. SIVAJI is not the face of patriarchy. He is not the reason women are unsafe. He is not the cause of harassment. He is a man who spoke badly. He apologized. And he became a convenient symbol for industry outrage. Punishing symbols doesn't fix systems. You cannot build a safer industry by shaming speech while ignoring action, demanding apologies while refusing dialogue, claiming feminism while tolerating selective silence, and you cannot claim moral superiority without consistency. This is not about defending bad language. This is about defending proportionality, fairness, and intellectual honesty. And I'm going to say this very plainly. ANASUYA does not get to lecture anyone about morality, dignity, or policing women, because she has actively benefited from the exact ecosystem she now pretends to oppose. She didn't get to build a fame in a vacuum of pure talent. She rose in an industry where glamour, visibility, desirability, and presentation are currency. And when women are harassing crowds, followed, stalked, or threatened, where is the same rage? Where is the same unity? Where is the same demand for legal action? But a moment a man speaks crudely, suddenly press statements fly, associations mobilize, legal threats appear, moral sermons begin. That's not justice, that's safe outrage. If ANASUYA and other women truly cared about women's dignity, they would also speak about how women are marketed, how silence protects abusers, how selective outrage enables exploitation, but they don't, because that would require turning the lens inward. It's much easier to shame one man publicly than to question the system that benefits them daily. What angers people isn't feminism, it's performative feminism. The kind that appears only when cameras are rolling, when the targets are easy enemies, and that avoids uncomfortable truths, and that never risks personal consequences. And when people push back, they are told, you're against women. No, they're against dishonest discourse. These women, they don't get to decide who is redeemable, who deserves punishment, what speech is allowed, and when outrage is valid. Morality isn't owned by celebrities. Dignity isn't enforced by press conferences. Justice isn't served by selective silence. And if accountability is demanded, it must be consistent or it becomes a farce.